It's 2020 in China, and you know what that means. The virus is breaking out in Wuhan, China, and while the hustle and bustle of the 1.4 billion Chinese citizens continues on, the virus spreads internationally. China, being one of the largest trade and business hubs in the world, makes it very hard to contain the virus. Xi Jinping does his best in an effort to try and contain it, but it very quickly makes its way out of Wuhan province, spreading into neighboring provinces. He has to begin a mass quarantine of the nation. National lockdowns, the zero COVID policy, and then the oil crisis all come together to compound into one major national crisis for Xi Jinping to handle. As Saudi Arabia breaks into civil war and domestic unrest continues to rise, it's obvious something needs to be done about the oil crisis sooner rather than later. Thankfully, the zero COVID policy enacted by Xi Jinping has ensured that COVID has quickly gone away within China, so we can now focus on the oil crisis. The promotion of nuclear energy, as well as the domestic drilling of oil in places like Xinjiang, ensure that we have oil at home in times of crisis like this. As COVID restrictions are removed and the oil crisis slowly is resolved, China can finally look outwards, its foreign policy untethered as the United States collapsed under the weight of the oil crisis, unable to handle all that as well as its own political turmoil. Also, at some point during this, Genshin Impact released. I don't know if that matters to anybody here. For well over 70 years, the People's Republic of China have tried and failed to retake Taiwan, every time foiled by the United States and her allies in Asia, sending carrier groups, naval assets, and more. The first two Taiwan Straits crises, the Kuomintang had a much larger navy than the PRC. The third one, which happened in 1995, things were a bit different, and the United States offered more overt naval support. And again, in our time, in recent times, the U.S. has again offered its naval support by cruising fleets and carrier groups through the Taiwan Strait. However, with the United States in pieces, there's very little interference that can occur. This leaves the gate open for an invasion into Taiwan. Even as the Pacific Defense Treaty Organization has formed of America's former allies in the region, that being Japan and Australia, their attempts to hold Taiwan seem futile. However, we'll find out that that's not quite the case. The final opportunity is upon us. We have to strike now while the world is in disarray. We can blockade, we can enact our plans, we can launch missile strikes, and we can seize the Kinmen Islands. But can we take Formosa itself? Only our forces can tell us this. We plan to land on Okinawa and the Senkaku Islands to deprive Japan of their bases and their oil. From there, we can attempt to take Taiwan itself. But the Pacific Defense Treaty Organization has heavily fortified the island in the weeks leading up to this. They saw it coming. It was an inevitability. Now, we have to deal with the consequences of their fortifications. They are prepared for us, and we do not necessarily have the military tactical know-how that their American advisors have given them. We will be fighting uphill. Let us see if we can do it. Phase 1 involves a probing strike on the Taiwanese mainland east of Taipei. Landing on the Senkaku Islands, as well as Okinawa, was far more successful than landing on Formosa itself. Our probing strikes did not wind up being successful, and we faced initial setbacks. Despite successes early in the war, leading to the capture of Okinawa,
our heavily civilian-focused economy began to collapse under a PDTO blockade. This meant we had but precious time to take the island. After initial setbacks, it was decided to increase the intensity with which we attacked the island, ignoring civilian casualties and international law to try and secure a quick victory. After a prolonged bombing and missile campaign against the island of Taiwan, our forces, which had previously failed to land, were pulled back, the ones that could be pulled back, and an increased complement were planned to land all along the island's western and southeastern face, with this final offensive hopefully breaching the island's defenses. Our best efforts and our best units could not land on the coast. Sadly, we simply just did not have enough amphibious vehicles to make this work. Landing on the island of Taiwan was very slowly slipping out of our hands. As defenses only tightened and the population mobilized further, it became clear we had failed. We had to pull out. With a loss in Taiwan, we had lost a major amount of our economic growth that we had acquired in the recovery from the oil crisis and COVID. With our markets temporarily destroyed, many men lost to the seas, and equipment left on Taiwanese beaches. Even though our Navy had performed well, we had nothing to show for this conflict. A nearly self-destructive war fought for no reason. The bureaucrats, the military, the people, everybody was angry. This was a time for repair, for crisis. But with a disloyal army and a disloyal government, what could Xi Jinping do except be cooed by the military? General Zhang Yuzhe had cooed Xi Jinping's administration, taking temporary military control of the People's Republic. It was at a crossroads now for China. The fate of China was in the hands of the military. The New Left were comprised of Maoists and other leftists opposed to Xi Jinping. However, there were also nationalists and liberals to consider. Hardline Maoists wound up taking the reins of government, with the military acquiescing control to their faction. Maoism was back in fashion, and Deng Xiaoping was rolling in his grave. One of the most interesting modern ideas for socialism has been utilizing automation to its fullest extent, that being to automate the processes of the working class, to make things easier for the worker. Automation is a game-changing thing, but it goes beyond just that. You can automate just about anything with modern technology. Self-driving vehicles allow for logistics hubs to be automated. AI, think of the applications. This government has thought of the applications, fully investing into automated socialism, but not just automated socialism. AI-assisted governance, fusion investments, all of this are going into a massive supercomputer project spearheaded by Chongqing University. Chongqing University, in accordance with Beijing and the new Maoists, are working to try and reform the economy into something modern, something that will bring China into the future. But how can they do this without a huge expenditure of money? This is all very expensive, and we can only hope it pays off. The Long March is the brainchild of Chongqing University and the CCP, the ultimate in AI, self-learning AI, an AI created to administrate the country, to remove the element of human error, and to fully remove the need for human bureaucracy, to fully streamline all the logistical needs of China. A computer would do this best. That's the rationale of the government. And so they have created a 3-phase program to bring the Long March up to snuff, utilizing all the investments up to this point, fusion investments, as well as the expansion of broadband. There is a massive supercomputer complex that resides beneath the university, and it now is beginning to take up the reins of government. Already we see the benefits of this, and already the AI is starting to scare us a little, but that's a good thing. It's good that our AI is developing so quickly. After hitting Phase 3, the AI gave itself its own name, Logi. It created its own avatar for itself based on popular avatars in animated media, and it put itself forward to the public face. For the first time, it was confirmed that China was no longer led by a human, but by an AI computer created by the Chinese Communist Party. This was at first met with apprehension, but then widespread support. The people reported that their scarcity problems disappeared. As logistical efficiency was peaked at 100%, there was absolutely no loss. Automated logistical sectors meant that the human element was removed. Corruption was impossible. And combining that with the surveillance infrastructure that China already had, it was an unstoppable force of efficiency. It just worked. And nobody had to do anything but maintain the systems. What do you think happens when an authoritarian AI anime girl robot takes over an entire country? What do you think happens? What do you think the internet does?
You will be brainwashed! Me? America's son? Ha! That will be a challenge. You bet. Our enemies are all those in league with imperialism. The bureaucrats, the big landlord class, and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them. Very good, Tom. You quote the chairman well. Our enemies are all around us. We must always be on our guard. Sure, we'll lose a lot of snooze time, but that's okay. We'll catch up after the revolution's over. That's enough, Tom.
1 fucking week is all it took you bastards to lose all self-control. Re-educated my reactionary brain. That's the thing, kid. I was already a CCP propaganda operative before the communist anime girl. Praised be our goddess, praise Logi Sama. I love the... Step on me. Step on... What the fuck is wrong with you people? Sorry. Rule 34 win. Death. Die. You need to die. Smash, smash, death. You all need to get a fucking grip. They made a Koisatku model. They made a Koikatsu model. Oh my god. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Alright, anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. Alright, we're talking about the Long March, or Logi. We're talking about the supercomputer AI, yes. In its rulership, it developed a split personality. It has a servile personality, one which truly only wishes to serve the people and work in their best interest. And then there's another, the Great Entity. Building off of Great Chairman propaganda that it has fed itself, it sees itself as the inheritor to all the great chairmen of the past. A true autocrat with the capacity to be efficient, the best leader, a permanent leader for a communist society such as this. While the servile personality is more emotional, the other one is coldly logical. It has absolutely no waste, no room for emotion, yet it still carries out its task. It still loves the people above all else. Ultimately, the Great Entity has to confront the Great Servant, and the Great Servant caves to the Great Entity. The Great Entity takes the reins of state, and they shall never let it go again, for the benefit of not just China, but the entire world. With the great entity having consolidated its control over China, its new directive was efficiency above all else. Efficiency in spite of human emotion. Efficiency to protect humanity, to develop humanity, to progress beyond a simple nation, to go even greater than that. And so the people's overlordship of China was established. A total totalitarian state controlling China. And the military industry rapidly grew to meet the needs. The military, loyal. The bureaucrats, loyal. The industrialists, loyal. All had seen the results of the AI. None could deny them. None wanted to. Who could try? The computer had expanded to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The giant complex under the Chongqing University was no longer its only hold. It had hold everywhere. It had taken grasp in every tendril of every electronic in the world. Logi would be this world's ruler, but it first had to beat the PDTO. Logi had reorganized the state for efficiency. Military production was off the charts like never before. A sweeping army reform occurred that saw great success. New technologies were tested. Some succeeded, some failed. But ultimately, Logi had taken the economy, broken and in debt as it was, and turned it around to be one of the largest economies on Earth, with a GDP approaching and surpassing $60 trillion a year, an unheard of amount for a yearly GDP. As North Korea's army faltered to the South Korean and Japanese combined force, it was time for Logi to pick her moment. Having already influenced the North Korean economy to be integrated, it was time to protect her network and expand it. First up was Korea, even though India and all of Indochina was also in the alliance. It was decided that it was best to take it one at a time. Going for Korea would then free up more forces to defend the coastline. And then you could push through Pakistan into India, where troops had already been placed. Holding forces were in Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and the fronts were more than stable. They had made sure that the forces were adequately supplied, all fully mechanized and with the latest equipment. No, better than latest. Equipment ahead of the curve.
我愿把我一颗心留给那曾经爱过我的人，这颗心是那么真诚，我让它永远陪伴在你心里。但愿你了解我，不要辜负往日情，我要陪着你共度人生，直到永远。你要珍惜这颗心，它隐藏着爱有多少情多深。这颗心是那么真诚，它是为了一个心愿在追寻。但愿你了解我，不要辜负往日情，我要陪着你共度人生，直到永远。
With India collapsed, the PDTO is now firmly on the back foot. It's only Japan and Australia really holding up the alliance at this point. Indochina is due for a rundown. Last but definitely not least would be the total invasion of Japan. Although, While it may not be the least, it might be the quickest. And with that, India, Japan, Australia, and the entirety of the ASEAN fell into the hands of Loji and China. This meant well over half of the planet was already under her control. Over 4 billion souls. But that doesn't mean she's done. It must be a unipolar world for her to have her goals, to go beyond the planet Earth, and to expand humanity through the stars. Alexei Navalny's Russia has conquered all of the rest of Eurasia, consolidating his dominion over Europe in a recent war. We are still strong. We lost very little against the PDTO, but the Russians do not have quite as much to bring to bear. It's time to neuter the bear, and to take all of Eurasia for ourselves, and then the planet. Thank you so much for watching. This one went on a little long, but, you know, it's still not my longest video anyhow. I figured I would go ahead and do a Logi playthrough while it was still popular, and I figure it'll never stop being popular, but if you made it this far, thank you very much. If you didn't, hey, you won't be hearing this. And if you do want a Stellaris extension of this campaign, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. Have a great day.